Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, going way back to the time of Aesop and Aesop's fables, he wrote this about politicians, and it is oh so true. We hang the petty thieves and appoint the great ones to public office. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. A wet one, too. Oh, good morning. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Service, the key word. Thank you so much. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. And Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch at Valleywide. Thank you very much. Right now, let's have our caller with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, young man.
Hi there. I am great. Go ahead with the pledge, my dear friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dal, you are always welcome. Thank you so much. God's blessings to you and your wife this morning. How you feeling? Better?
With my hand.
All right. Well, take care of yourself, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you. Wonderful couple right there. And they suffered some bumps and bruises and some falls, and I certainly hope that they're feeling better. Right now, it's time for our weather forecast. And we start the day off by talking about Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And look for the blue door. Oh, Kyle and Whitney, they've got everything to spruce up and make your house a home. You better believe it. Kitchen, construction, carpet and flooring, home decor items, newly refurbished furniture, it's all there. And these people are so nice, and they really have the artistic eye. Oh my, they can do the job for you. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And right now, here is the weather.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a little bit on the rainy side for today. About 1/10 of an inch is what we're expecting, along with some afternoon thunderstorms as well. High of 67 for today, tonight low of 50. For tomorrow, rain showers will continue in the forecast with a high of 60, overnight low of 43. And what do you know, more rain for Thursday. Slight chance of a thunderstorm as well, high of 58 with an overnight low of 38. And then as we move on into the weekend, it's going to be clearing up. Looks like sunny skies and 65, possibly 70 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much. Brought to you by some folks that really keep up with the latest trends and designs. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. All you have to do is look for the blue door. Hey, don't forget, sale on Thursdays at the Burley Livestock Commission Sale Yard. You better believe it, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And Merv May, Kay Droggy, and Lance Udy bring the gavel down at 10:30 and the sale that works for you. For more information about all the consignment information and the cattle going through the ring, 678-9411. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Sale sale on Thursday. Don't you miss it. We have some birthdays that I want to acknowledge right now. And I'm going to do one that was on yesterday, one that is today, and one that is tomorrow, so I do not forget. I'm going to hit them all right now. Here's what we have. Methuselah had a birthday. Yep, older than Methuselah, Jack Euler, had a birthday yesterday on the 14th. And today, a lovely lady is celebrating her birthday, Joanne Clark, and we say happy birthday today. And tomorrow, the great bearded one, Gabby Hayes, Warren Miller, is having his birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday yesterday, today, and tomorrow to all those wonderful people. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, don't forget SafeLink Internet. Idaho's number one choice for wireless internet, SafeLink Internet. First month is free, plus free installation. Can't beat that with a stick. Don't forget, no contracts, no credit checks, unlimited data. All you need to do is call them at 677-8000, SafeLink Internet. We've had it in our house for years. You should too. SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. Along with our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Oh, I've got a bag of goodies ready to go to Daryl's, let me tell you. Wranglers and sports shirts and everything else. Oh, yeah. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And you stop in and see Kevin and Cindy today. And if you got something that needs restoration, you know, maybe an old tablecloth, or maybe it's a family heirloom, don't just throw it away. Check it out, and it may be able to be restored. They are wonderful at this type of thing. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I want to take just a moment, if I can, and I want to say thank you. And I meant to do this yesterday, and please, for the people that contributed, my humble apologies, because it was so much appreciated. Last week on Thursday, when we did the remote broadcast over at Ramsey Heating and Electric, we put out the Loot in the Boot to help needy families at Christmas time. And I was absolutely blown away with the amount of people that just stopped into Ramsey's, ran in the door, threw some money in the boot, and then left. I mean, I didn't get a chance to thank any of them. And God bless you all, because we came out, I don't know, I think almost close to a couple $100. And thank you so much for your help. And we're going to have another Loot in the Boot here in the next 30 days. And this is all going to be used, every penny of it, for the needy families at Christmas time. And I want to say thanks to George and Donna Mass and my lovely wife, Deanne. We've kind of formed a little Christmas committee, and we're going to help the needy families in this area. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. And right now, with the weather forecast changing, and believe me, it is changing, I think we better start thinking about maybe having that furnace ready to rock and roll and heat your family. And don't forget, they've got all your furnace filters. Now, don't just turn the furnace on and say, oh, that feels good, when the furnace is down there struggling and going, hey, you forgot to put a new filter in me. Well, you stop in and get your filters right now at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, open 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. You better believe it. Ramsey's, we thank them very much. And while I have just a moment here, I also want to acknowledge, if I can, the Denny's restaurant. And on Thursdays, of course, don't forget, we have the high school game of the week pick. And if you win the right team and the closest to the final score, you're going to receive a grand slam breakfast from Denny's. And don't forget, they've got wonderful, wonderful breakfast, lunch, and dinner menus. Oh, my goodness, you got to try the new Denny's kid menu, too, for all the kids. Holy smokes, and they eat free on Tuesdays from 4 to 10 p.m. at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Really great people. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Folks, there's been a lot of publicity, and you know me, I'm not going to run away from anything and hide under a rock like the Democrats do, but there's been a lot of publicity about the upcoming community forum at the CSI Fine Arts Center regarding questions about the refugee program. And I really don't care if CSI or any of the Twin Falls civic leaders are upset about this, because I think the panelists that have been selected for this meeting are basically a yes person, nod your head like a bird on a glass of water. Yes, we agree. Yes, we agree. Yes, we agree. And, I just don't think it's the right format, because I understand that all questions. Now, this is what I've been told, and if I'm wrong, I will stand corrected. If we make a mistake on this program, we apologize, which is different than some. But questions must be submitted in advance on cards or that evening, and then I understand that they're going to be basically controlled, and the board is going to pick and choose the questions at random that they want to answer. But when I look down the list of people that are going to be at that refugee program meeting, we've got Larry Bartlett. What does he do? Well, he's the Director of Office on Refugee Admissions. Ken Toda, Deputy Director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. Zizi Rasama, Director of CSI Refugee Programs. Brian Pike, Deputy City Administrator. Mike Mason, VP of Finance CSI. Dr. Stephen Coates, Family Medicine Practitioner, St. Luke's. And Dr. Wally Dobbs, Superintendent, Twin Falls School District. They're not going to criticize CSI's refugee program. There are a ton of unasked questions. There really are. And to sit there and say that we're going to have a meeting, it should be an open forum. I don't care if it starts at 6 o'clock in the night and goes till 2 o'clock in the morning. The general public should have the right to ask questions about safety and security, health, everything else about these refugees that may be coming in here from Syria. And the big question that I've got is, well, there's a couple of things. Number one, security, because it's coming out more so every day. They do not have a way to screen, process, and vet and get the information from these refugees. If anybody tells you that on behalf of CSI or the Times News or whatever, they're not telling you the truth. Because I've got statement after statement right here from James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, Comey with the FBI, and Mike McCall with the Department of Homeland Security, and all of them have had vetted statements that have been verified, that there is no way that they can prove who these people are to the nth degree to find out their backgrounds, etc. That is very concerning. And I, for one, am going to stand up and say no to the refugee center, no to more refugees coming in, especially at a time when we are under siege by ISIS and Al-Qaeda with the lone wolf philosophy of trying to do damage, harm, and mayhem to our great country of the United States. What are your thoughts? You give me a call and speak out. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes. They want to say to the Lopez family in Rupert who lost that little pony called Patches that they really, really have heartfelt sorrow for that family and the loss of that little pony. And I want to extend mine also. I think absolutely that was one of the most heinous crimes that I've ever heard of in my life. And I hope they catch the perpetrators and they get a much more severe punishment than what they think they might. And by the way, too, for all your feed for your livestock, they've got it all. For your steers, your horses, your pigs, lambs, chickens, whatever. The store over in Preston for Valleywide makes all the feed and ships it right over here. You better believe it. These are good, good folks with all your clothing needs, too, for the fall. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Caller, thank you for your patience. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Good morning.
You know, this CSI deal, what I would like to see, and, you know, my opinion of the Times News is similar to yours. But anyway, why don't we get all those members of the board at CSI, state their name and everything else, and what their position is on these refugees.
Yeah.
And let the people come to them.
Well, you know, here's something to think about. I agree with sometimes the Times News. I do. And I will give credit when credit is due. But when they start on an editorial board basis, putting editorials in the paper that call people that are questioning the refugee center, questioning the sanity and security of the refugees coming to this area, and are really worried about the Muslims and Sharia law that have tried to impose their will in other areas of the United States, and the Times News refers to those kinds of people like myself as doofuses, I am a little bit more than miffed, because I'm not a doofus. I am a red-blooded American that cares for his community, and I'm sick of being called names.
Well, I don't blame you, but you've been very brave about this whole deal, and you spoke your mind, and that's what I appreciate about you.
You know what bothers me, Keith?
How do you get a hold of any one of these people on the board? They're like Obama. He has a rally, and he only invites those who he wants to be there.
Well, Mike Mason, I'll give you some names, like Mike Mason at CSI and Wiley Dobbs, superintendent of Twin Falls Schools. You know, all these people have business numbers that you can leave messages, and whether they return the calls or not, I don't know. But I will say this, there seems to be a hierarchy that has this nose up in the air attitude to where they're not willing to give out information that the public wants to know. They want to know how much money CSI is making off of this. They want to know why the money's coming in. They want to know how the program is structured. They want to know about safety and security, and these questions aren't being answered and probably will not be on this Tuesday meeting next week.
Well, if I am not mistaken, CSI is a public college, right?
Yes.
And they do use our tax money.
But you know, Keith, you've been involved in politics. You know the old story. When you don't want to give out all the information to the public, you kind of stand a little bit taller than the general public because you are the elected official. And I don't like that attitude. You know what? They put their wranglers on one leg at a time just like I do. And I'm never going to look up to somebody. I will look them in the eye, but I won't look up to someone.
This Mike Mason, what is his business?
Vice President of Finance at the College of Southern Idaho. There would be the man to call and talk to about the money situation and demand answers, because it is a public information source that should be looked at and found out how much money's coming in, how and why is being spent.
I might just do that.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, answers. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, all the refugees that are coming in here, maybe all on the yellow brick road. Oh, they can't wait to come to America. Oh, they can't wait to be contributing members as taxpayers. Oh, they can't wait to celebrate the 4th of July and wave the red, white, and blue flag of the United States of America. I doubt it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. You know, I have been railing against this for a long time, and I'm not going to change my attitude. I've got so many documents that have been sent to me by people that know what's going on, people that are concerned what's going on. Look at last night. I'll give you an example. And then I'm going to do a commercial break. But last night I was watching television, and Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer and Catherine Herridge. And Catherine is a friend of mine. She of course, is a terror expert for Fox News back in New York. They were on television last night, and they are now looking at a story. This should be very disconcerting for everyone this morning. They are looking at a story with all kinds of wagon wheel approach as far as the spokes to the story, the hub of the story, that the Obama administration lied to us. Oh, gee, imagine that. Lied to us about the severity and the danger of ISIS. They downplayed how serious it was and is currently. And Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer said last night that Obama did this to build up his programs and show how effective his policies were, when in reality, they were not working. We've been duped. We've been lied to. Oh, gee, imagine that, by this current administration. And all of this falls right into this refugee center. I mean, these people are coming in, and in the majority of cases, I will grant you that they are probably good people that have been displaced. They're just scared, and many of them are lonely. They want to go back to their home country, but there we go with what Franklin Graham had come up with. Let's make a secure zone in their country. Let's take our military in and start saying, hey, our military, along with that nation's military, make a safe zone so they can stay in their own country. But we cannot be everybody's brother's keeper, nor should we be, especially at this, one of the most dangerous times in our history. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. If you think I'm all wet, just give me a call. I've got broad shoulders and I can take it. Don't forget your friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Man, they've got out in front of the big Burley store, they've got those big Doosan loaders. Oh, my goodness, in that orange color. And let me tell you, they can just pick up rock and get the job done. Man, they are big dudes and strong. They just look strong. Yeah, they look like Hercules sitting there. Well, they've got the equipment to get the job done right. All you have to do is stop into Berry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations: Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And their store hours Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, and Saturday, 8 to 5. Stop in. Really good folks, because they can help you in your purchase or leasing of the equipment you need to get the job done. Berry Equipment and Rental. You know, when you talk about something like CSI, and I would much rather talk about CSI and their educational facilities, some of the great things that they've done. I would much rather talk about their basketball teams, etc. But talking about a refugee center right now that's being basically slammed and crammed down our throats, this I don't like. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air, please.
Good morning, sir. The main reason those refugees are leaving, they don't want to leave their homeland and their homes, but they're leaving because they don't have no weapons to fight with. They took the guns and all weapons away from them. All they can do is throw rocks at the terrorists, you know, and that's what happens when you get gun control.
Well, that's a good point, but they're not all leaving for those reasons. That's the problem, my dear friend. Many of which. Wait a minute.
But most of them want to.
Yeah, but George, wait a minute. Many of them are now known to be picked out, centered out, and highlighted by Al-Qaeda and ISIS to go and start terror cells. And that's not me talking. Those are the facts. I mean, that's what they found out. And while many of them, like you stated, are leaving with nothing more than maybe a garden rake as protection, there are some that we should be very concerned about. But you know what, George? There's no way to vet these people. There are no records. There are no computer systems. We don't know.
No, we don't. And you're right, Joe, on that. There's a lot of them that wants to come over here to do us harm and freeload. And there's some that isn't. But then that all leads back to their governments of being sheep, laying down and letting them do what they want to do.
Amen. George, I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Thank you very much. No, not an hour and a half. I'll see you in a half hour.
About a half hour.
Yeah, get on the ball. Get to work. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, George. Hey, don't forget our dear friend, and that is the Doctor of Audiology, Christine Pickup with Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Wow. I mean, this lady, Excuse me, it's hay fever season. You're going to have to bear with me. The old throat gets a little tickle. And this lady knows all about hearing. I just posed some questions to her one time, and then all of a sudden, my goodness, she is the encyclopedia of hearing, and she can help you. If you're having hearing problems, why not find out what can be done? You need to hear what you're missing. Give her a call today at 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right across from the Minidoka Hospital emergency room, and the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. I absolutely urge you to get a hearing screening. I did. I'm so glad I did. And she helped me a bunch. And she can help you too. Mount Harrison Audiology, you call today, 312-0957. All right, now it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, when you have some of the most reputable sources standing up and saying, whoa, ho, ho, wait a minute, let's take a look at this program, and whether it's Catherine Herridge, terror expert, whether it's a Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer, whether it's Colonel Jack Keane, and many others, maybe we'd better start listening to them instead of a college hand-picked board that's going to try to salve all of our feelings. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning. The best way to destroy a country is to invade like this, because these people, we have no way of knowing whether they're good or bad. They're going to be coming here with a foreign language that they know, that they do not know our language. They are already angry when they leave their country, and now they're going to be even angrier when they have to put up with us Americans, who basically they hate. And when they get here, we are such caring people, and we try to take them in. But no, they do not want to have a thing to do with our culture. And we've got to be honest. Our president is a Muslim, and he is doing this in league with his buddy.
You know, Chris, everything you said is, I think, very, very concerning. Caller number 2, don't go away. I'll be right there. But, you know, when you start thinking about the language barrier, you start thinking about the culture barriers, you start thinking about the housing, and you start thinking about taking care of their food, their clothing, everything. We are taking on a great big problem right now that we can't even take care of our own. And with the border system that
I saw something just recently that the city of Cuna, which is a tiny little burg that is mostly agriculture, there is a plot that's been set aside there for 6,000 cemetery places, and the people of Cuna are basically being forced out of their town, and it has an interesting thing happening. They're building homes for these strangers that just keep appearing on the forefront. We have no way of even stopping them.
You know, every point you said is valid. And my concern, of course, is when people, I'll go back to this point, I'm going to say it over and over. When people that are in certain positions are warning us about the lack of knowledge of these people and who they are and what they represent, whether it's the Director of National Intelligence, Homeland Security, or the FBI. Why are we naive enough to listen to a College of Southern Idaho board telling us all is well and we have no right to worry?
Why is the College of Southern Idaho being so welcoming, and yet they won't talk to the people who have built that college, and they're using this kind of opportunity to make themselves richer?
It's a good point.
You know they're getting paid.
Go along. Follow the money. Follow the money. Amen.
And you and I, all of us are taxpayers.
Yep.
It's our money.
I have questions, and I want answers. And I said when I've had many people on my program, I say, hey, wait a minute, what about the money? What are they being paid? Where's the money going? How's it being distributed? How's it being used? What about these grants? Those are taxpayer dollars that created the grants. There's 1,000 questions. Chris, I appreciate your call. I got another one waiting. God bless you and your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Seth.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The Muslims has never been the friends of the United States or Israel. And I believe that the more Muslim we have, the further we are separated from Israel. The Israelis will not be able to trust us as long as we keep getting more and more migrants from the Muslims.
You know, sir, you bring up a really good point, and I am working on right now bringing back Brigitte Gabriel to my program with Act Now for America, and she, I think, is going to open up some real closed eyes at CSI and others. She is a lady that knows about the Muslim influence. She's been fighting the Muslim influence for a long time, and if they don't respect her, I guess they can't respect anybody, because her opinion really matters.
It does. I wish people would listen more to her. But it's true, how can you make friends with your enemies?
That's right. That's exactly right.
The Muslims, they don't come here to assimilate. They come here, and before you know it, they're going to have radio stations, and they're going to have the whole shebang. Then we're going to hear another language, and it will be our own. Our language is being, well, look at what's been happening for the last 30 years in this country.
I agree with you, and it's just now...
There's so much, let me say one thing. A country without borders is not a country. Remember that.
Amen. You are welcome anytime on this program, and someday I wish you'd call me and come to my studio so we could do a little back and forth conversation. Thank you so much for calling.
Now you make me nervous.
No. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a very, very nice man, and he has called into this program many, many times, and he always has common sense. And I would love to have him. I'll reiterate that. Call me sometime at my cell phone, 312-2976. I would love to have you come into the studio and visit with me. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, by the way, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. Did you know that, I hope I say this correctly with the right pronunciation, ASTIM. I think it's ASTYM. The ASTIM treatment at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation is a therapy that addresses the cause of your pain, not just your symptoms. Well, they've got the world's best physical therapists there. These are people that really know and care, and they can help you with a great mix of exercises and, of course, the hydrotherapy pool, and they can help you get back to being you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Call them today at 678-1191. Really good folks. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Donald Trump packed him in at a rally last night in Texas, and the fascination with Trump continues. I was just shocked last night. It's almost like a rock band or a rock star. He was standing at the podium last night, and I started studying the people in the background, and there was a younger guy, maybe about 18 or 19 year old there, wearing a cowboy hat, and every time Trump said something, he would just jump up and down and wave his arms, and we were watching some of the women, and they were waving their arms and going, yay, Trump, and everybody was yelling. 20,000 people last night. And he struck a chord with them by saying America needs to start winning again. I cannot count the amount of people that have called and criticized me or sent me emails criticizing my winning attitude. That you have to get out and win, you have to get out and earn what you get in life, and you can't just get a handout. Nobody should just get a ribbon for participating. That's asinine and insane. But Trump said we've got to start winning again as a country, and he's right. He said we need victories. And he's right. There's nothing wrong with having a winning attitude. That's what's made this country great. And I'll tell you something. When we don't win, we meaning America, the rest of the world loses. Now you think about that. And that is absolutely the truth. When we don't win, the rest of the world loses. And I am not advocating. I'm not yet. I'm still looking at all the candidates. I am, honestly. On the Republican side, you know my feelings about the Democrats. There's positions open for dog catchers. But on the side of the Republicans, I'm still weighing the options as to who I think honestly would be the best person. But you've got to admit that Trump has brought to the forefront an energized public that is getting back into politics, and they're saying they don't want the same old anymore. Adios. Out of here. And I like that. Calls are welcome. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting to take some more of your calls, I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends at Mad River Laser. Holy cow, every time Deanna and I go in there, she has got something unique or new or whatever that they put out on the shelves and everything, and they can make those fan signs that you can hold up while you're at the football game to cheer your team on, and they're only $10. And then they've got the jerseys that you can wear to support your team and favorite player, and with a number and the name on them and everything, just $20. Oh, my goodness, you can't afford to beat that. You better get one today. And stop over and see their new gift shop, too, at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And now, here is the weather.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a little bit on the rainy side for today. About 1/10 of an inch is what we're expecting, along with some afternoon thunderstorms as well. High of 67 for today, tonight low of 50. For tomorrow, rain showers will continue in the forecast with a high of 60, overnight low of 43. And what do you know, more rain for Thursday. Slight chance of a thunderstorm as well, high of 58 with an overnight low of 38. And then as we move on into the weekend, it's going to be clearing up. Looks like sunny skies and 65, possibly 70 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you, Gina. And don't forget, wonderful people at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop over and see them today. Did you see that ad on television for the NRA with Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark? Whoa! That is dynamic. This man has, he doesn't put that uniform on. It kind of just molds around him. That's the kind of a policeman he is. And he's just got that aura about him about just, you will respect me. And I love that. I really do. This man has been very outspoken, and he's got an ad about protecting ourselves. Gun owners protecting ourselves and keeping the Second Amendment. Oh, if you get a chance to see that ad with Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark, it is one of the best. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Concerning this refugee crisis and bringing these unvetted refugees into the Magic Valley, the newspaper here is going to have a dog and pony show for the community so that they convince us that all is well, kumbaya, and so forth. And it's really a shame. It's basically a cheerleading session for the program.
Right. Yep.
And some of us have complained that there's really no opportunity really to express from those groups and so forth that are opposed to this. And but people need to come out, and I guess you can submit questions. See, it's not an open forum that you can just raise your hand and submit a question. You have to write the questions out or submit them in advance, so that way they screen them. So this is what socialist countries do to control the outcome of their meeting.
All right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Just a minute, Adrian. I agree with everything you're saying, and we've been talking about that for the bulk of this hour, as you probably well know. However, I would say this, and I want to get your opinion on this. If the Times News is going to call themselves a newspaper so that they are being fair and possibly balanced to both sides of the issue, why, after all these months, have they not contacted people like myself, people like you and others, and got the con side of the issue, and then develop a pro and con issue in the paper so that people can see and read about both sides and get some answers? This is ridiculous, trying to soft soap this thing in a Tuesday, September 22nd meeting at the CSI Fine Arts Center, which you have stated very capably is nothing more than a Sistumba hurrah for the refugee center.
Yeah, it's a dog and pony show. You're absolutely right. None of us have been asked to give a guest opinion, a nice, most of us have to write a letter to the editor. It's, and those kind of things. We get one of those a month, but nobody's been able to write an extensive article of why this refugee center needs to be shut down as far as ending this, the threat of all these unvetted potential ISIS terrorists coming into this area. Say there's 300, and there's only 1% of them come in here, 3 terrorists. What could they accomplish? I can tell you they could accomplish a lot, and you know that.
Well, it's not just that. It's not, wait a minute, it's not just the terrorist aspect. You know that as well as I do. It's the health concerns. And we don't know anything about what they have been next to, with, or whatever. We've got language concerns. We've got absolute cost concerns. We want to know how much the program is costing and where the money's going and what happens if all of a sudden these people don't get jobs, and how long they're going to be on possibly government and taxpayer dole. There's 1,000 questions that need to be answered, and I know you're going to agree with that.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Zeb. Yeah, I'm just bringing out the most potent, I guess, as far as killing people. But yeah, the taxpayers. Look at the schools are being overcrowded with all these extra people coming in here, and not only just the immigrants. I mean, but with the illegals as well. But it's just unbelievable that they turn a blind eye to this. It's all about the money. They will not and have not been open. CSI trustees have just told us it's trade secrets that we can't know where the finances is coming from, how much and how much is going out.
Well, there's a line.
Total cover up.
There's a line in the advertisement that they ran in a full page ad in the paper many, many times. And here's the line that sums it up and makes me furious. It says, "Don't miss this opportunity to ask your questions from those who work directly with the refugees." No, you're not going to get a chance. I'm not going to get a chance to stand up and ask my questions. I'm not going to get a chance to answer and get a follow-up question. No, it's not going to be conducted that way. Really, this is a soft soap, quick sell meeting to try to make everybody salve the wounds and agree with the refugee center.
And that's absolutely right, Zev. You figured it out. We need to fill that auditorium. It holds 900 people. We know there's, in discussions with some of my friends and so forth, they're going to have a lot of their people out there. You can better believe it. So we need to have a big showing, and there'll be some opportunity for education there. So I hope that everybody in your listening audience come down here, because it's not just going to affect Twin Falls; it's affecting the whole Magic Valley.
Absolutely.
So it just doesn't affect the citizens of Twin Falls or Filer or Kimberly. It
Absolutely.
affects everybody in the Magic Valley. So put it on your calendar. Be there early and come with the idea that you want to learn something from the people that will be there.
All right, I got to run, Adrian, but thank you so much. I appreciate your kind thoughts. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly.
All right, sir.
Have a great day. Bye now.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I was going to call you this morning about the refugee thing, and you beat me to the punch on it, but will we go and stand up against this in our area? due to the simple fact that if people would look at Germany, right now in Germany, how many of them refugees are just flooding in there, and there used to be pretty much an open border policy there.
Yeah.
Now they've closed it down. And my wife, she has friends who are kind of soft-hearted towards them, and they won't listen to the reason. They won't listen to the fact that if you look at those people that have invaded Germany, they're not women and children. They're men. They're young men, and some of them are pretty stout. And it's obvious that they're not there, and they're healthy. They're not there to because they're war-torn. They're not. And her and I sat up last night till 2 o'clock in the morning talking about it. What should we do? What can we do? But anyway, I'll let you go. Thank you.
No, I appreciate your remarks, young man. You said that very well. Thank you very much. Caller number 3, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Zeb, I don't want these people coming in here. I had a son-in-law come home from Iraq, went into a store in Boise in his uniform. One of these refugees walked up to him and started a fight with him, said his uniform offended her. In the United States, a military uniform offends this lady. Well, what's she doing here? And then they got in a confrontation, and the manager of the store asked my son-in-law to leave the store.
Oh, my goodness.
Because he was sticking up for this Muslim woman. Now, I have a really bad problem with that, and I have a problem with these people coming here because they're going to be the same way that lady was in that store.
You know, one of the problems that's happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and outlying regions of Minneapolis, Newark, New Jersey area, and other areas around the country, is that there has been many of these societal groupings of Muslims and people that are refugees, etc., that are asking for a different treatment. They're asking for the implementation of their culture's Sharia law, and they're asking for changes in our society and our culture. And right there, I'm going to put my size 10.5 Tony Lama boot down and say, no, this is America. Shut up. Adopt to our philosophies. Adopt to our culture. Or, better yet, don't come here.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Zeb.
I appreciate your call.
They come here, they should conform to our way of living. That's why they come here. That's why our forefathers and those come here with enthusiasm to become part of the United States. These people aren't that way.
Absolutely, and I certainly do appreciate your call. Our culture is our culture, and I do not want to see it changed. I do not want to see it weakened. I do not want to see it strained through a strainer to the point where we're just all this and that, and we've got one group over here, we've got one group over here. Baloney. This is the United States of America, known as the melting pot of the world, but the melting pot is the key word to where we conform to our Constitution and our value system of this United States. Caller, I'll be right with you in a moment. Stand by. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. I want to talk about brakes for a moment. You know, I just heard a guy the other day at a coffee shop saying, I put my foot on the brake and I just kept rolling right on in. Well, hey, listen, don't have that happen to you, because at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, they've got professionally trained technicians that know brakes. Believe me, I've had all the brakes on my trailer and my pickup and everything taken care of there. They know. And they always have the premium quality parts and the best industry warranty on your brakes at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. This time of the year, think about batteries at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You know, Wheels, I can't remember if you honked the old cow at me or not, if I had another call. Do I have one waiting?
No, sir, you do not.
Well, how come? Okay, calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Real quick, I want to just hit this story because I won't have time later on. Lumberton, Texas cheerleaders since 9/11 on the date of a tragedy of the absolute heinous crime of hitting our Twin Towers and the devastation and the death by the Muslim terrorists. Lumberton, Texas cheerleaders have been performing an inspirational tribute to Lee Greenwood's God Bless America. I saw what they do on television this morning. I watched it at 5:30 this morning, and it was absolutely beautiful with the USA and the athleticism of these cheerleaders and everything. It was just really a great tribute. Can you believe it? That now, after all these years of paying tribute to America, some of the liberals are upset and saying, oh, no, they can't do that in the schools. No, that's wrong. They can't pay tribute to America. That's bad. Oh, no. You know what? I am so sick and tired of minority squeaky wheel voices getting the grease. Just ignore these people. And to the Lumberton, Texas cheerleaders with a very inspirational tribute, keep on keeping on. It was beautiful. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Once again, Wheels will be back. Oh, boy, here we go. Welcome back, hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. And, of course, you're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call her today at 312-0957. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. And our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, every free man. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Keywords always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Number to call to get on the route service to have your garbage picked up weekly, and it's gone. It's out of there. 734-6969. Locally owned and operated. These are really good people at Western Waste Services. You give them a call today. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. By the way, too, I want to acknowledge the fact that every morning we start our program off with the weather forecast, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. All the carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items, everything to make your house a home at Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley. Look for the blue door. Wonderful folks. We also want to say thank you very much to a business over in Rupert that I know my guest knows these folks and appreciates what they do and who they are, and that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward and his family, his staff, and they work with and for you with the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. When there's the passing of a loved one, be sure and give them a call and get all the information and help that you need at 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, serving you. Well, a dear friend is in the studio this morning, and good morning, George Mass. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing this morning?
Nice to have you on the program. It's been a while since you've graced us with your presence in the studio.
Yes, it's a lot of footwork and just starting to get stuff put together.
Now, starting to get stuff put together for what?
Appreciation dinner for former Senator Dean Cameron.
Okay.
He was our senator for our area for 24 years, and he went into heading up the health care.
Well, he's head of the Department of Insurance.
Yes.
And this appreciation dinner for Dean Cameron, how come? Why did you want to do that? It takes a lot of work and effort. And, you and I aren't kids anymore. I mean, all the running around and everything. What's the matter?
It just takes a little longer, but you can still get it done.
There you go.
No, I felt that former Senator Dean Cameron, it's a hard time not calling him senator, but he's done so much for our area, for so many people, and he's been very, very supportive of the veterans of our area.
Right.
And I felt that this would be something. Just tell him thank you for what you've given us.
Right. And so this is going to be an appreciation dinner, and it's going to be October 10th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it's going to start at 4 in the afternoon on Saturday, October 10th, and go till approximately 6:30. Is that correct?
Yes, and 6:37, whatever time it ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at the Rupert Elks. They're on 85 North, 200 West of Rupert.
Okay.
I've got to touch on my sponsors there, because this would not happen without my sponsors.
Okay, go ahead.
And a lot of these sponsors are your sponsors.
Yes, I know they are. And the ones that aren't my sponsors, they will be.
That is true. Magic Valley Tires, Twist Family and Paul, Randy and Burley, and Lane and Rupert.
I need you to speak into the microphone. You look down, George.
Okay. The Twist Family, Randy and Lane of Magic Valley Tires, very supportive. Rupert Elks is doing an awesome job. Dot Foods come aboard. State Senator Kelly Anthon, State Representative Fred Woods, and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke. Minnecaja Veterans, Minidoka County Commissioners, Magic Valley Legion Riders of Twin Falls, Gary Shoresman of Rupert, Zeb and Deanne Bell, George and Donna Mass, and Idaho Roll Call from Rupert.
It takes a lot of sponsorships to get this thing done. And what's it going to be like? I mean, what kind of a dinner? Is it going to be kind of a roast of Dean? Are we going to be able to have a little fun with the man, or what's going on here?
Well, they can pick on him, but I'm not. I respect that man so much.
Well, you can respect somebody and still pick on him, too,
Yeah, but I might need him down the road.
Oh, okay.
So I got to be gentle.
Okay.
But we've got a very nice program. We're going to have buffets set up. There'll be 2 buffets. It's Goodwill donations.
Okay.
All money raised.
Now, when you say Goodwill donation, you're not going to have a specific charge for the food?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the money that we collect will go to help keep the Idaho Roll Call and the Rupert POW Memorial up and the Avenue of Flags.
Okay, so what is the cost of the dinner?
Whatever they want.
Oh, that's just what I asked you. I said there's not going to be a specific charge. It's going to be a Goodwill donation.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So they can come in, and if they want to lay a $50 bill in the tray, that's fine.
That is fine, yes.
Okay. And who's all going to be there? I'm sure you're going to have a lot of dignitaries there.
It is. I haven't got confirmation yet on who's all going to be there, but Scott Bedke is going to be our welcome.
Okay.
Mr. Zeb Bell, I think I've asked you to MC.
Yeah, I know that guy. Watch out for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Posting Color is going to be our Youth for Liberty.
Now that I really like. That's quite an organization. You've done a lot of work with this Youth for Liberty.
I am very proud of them, Zeb.
Now, how many kids have you got now?
We got, I don't know for sure accurate count, but we got, I think, 5 new ones this year.
5 new ones in addition to what?
I think we had 7, something like that.
Oh, my. Okay.
Some of them, as they got older, got into sports, and they couldn't attend.
Sure.
Anyway, but they took their education with them, and so they'll continue to spread it.
And what about the rest of the people there? U.S. Flag, Mason Adams?
Yes, yeah, he's one of our young men that's really stepped up and did an awesome job.
Okay.
Adam Fowler will call command. He is the commander of the Youth for Liberty.
You know him, don't you? He's, he's somebody's grandson.
Yeah. He's mine.
You just really blossom up, don't you?
I do.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
and then the national anthem, I understand Tegan Nebeker is going to be there.
Yeah, bless her heart. I've asked her several times to sing on the POW programs, and I give her a call. She lives in Salt Lake.
I see.
And I said, we sure would love to have him. She said, I'll be there.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady.
And then who's going to give the invocation?
Pastor
Brian Lindemood?
Yes, that's him.
Okay. I'm just helping you out here a little bit.
Thank you. And
then we'll break for dinner.
Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, this is going to be kind of interesting because the man that replaces Senator Dean Cameron in that respective position is going to be the guest speaker, and that's the new Idaho State Senator for that district, Kelly Anthon.
Yeah, now he's the one that ought to be able to roast Mr. Cameron.
Well, they know each other and everything,
Yeah.
but I think that's going to be really nice. And then you're going to have a special presentation, right?
Yes, that's myself, Gary Shoresman, and Adam Fowler. We've got a special presentation for Mr. and Mrs. Cameron.
That's nice. Okay.
Then we'll have an open forum.
Now, what do you mean by open forum? You're going to have questions directed at Dean?
No, it's if we got some dignitaries coming out of Boise if they want to speak.
Oh, okay.
Gives them the opportunity.
There's the time to roast him.
Yeah. And then I've got Mr. Zeb Bell doing closing comments.
Okay, I'll just thank everybody, and then we'll see who didn't put in a free will donation, and we'll lock them in the Elks Club, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And something I'm very proud of that I was able to accomplish is our bus boys for the dinner.
Oh, really? Who are they?
Well, I've hit all high schools, hit Declo, Oakley, Burley, and Minico, and I've got a group of 8 out of each one of them, and I've got a troop of Boy Scouts Troop 68.
Really?
Yeah, and anyway, it's really awesome to get those kids to work together, and they just jumped all over it.
Well, good for that's kind of a work project for them, right?
Yeah, and Rupert Elks is going to do the gratuity for him. So
okay. Well, it sounds like a fun evening, and it's right around the corner, quite frankly, on October the 10th at the Rupert Elks, and it's the appreciation dinner for Senator, or I should say former state senator, Dean Cameron, and it's going to start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and go till about 6:30, and at the Rupert Elks over in Rupert, and it should be just a lot of fun.
It is. It's open to the public, and I like to see people come and just tell Dean thank you and thank Mrs. Cameron for sharing her husband with us for 24 years.
Ooh, okay, if that's the way you want to phrase it, fine.
Well, it gives her a break.
Okay, I'm going to do a commercial, and then I want to come back and talk about civics in the classroom regarding our flag, okay?
All righty.
All right, stay tuned. George Mass is our guest. Be sure and give him a call. He's a really nice guy. I don't care what you heard. He is a nice guy. Let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn. Yep, 270 Highway 24 to be exact. That is where the fun is sold. Holy smokes, they've still got great rebates on Suzuki 4x4s, and you can get up in the hills and enjoy the beautiful fall colors. Boy, are they going to be turning this week. You better get up there. And you better also check on a new snowmobile. Holy mackerel, they got the new Timber Sled snow bikes coming in. Great fun in the snow this winter. Don't you forget it. Stop in and see our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Heyburn. Yep, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. By the way, too, don't forget Cameron and Siemens when you're talking about that area, Highway 24 over in Rupert. Why, my goodness, funny we should be talking about them. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, and much more. Serving you, your family, and your business. And they are very accessible and devoted to serving you and helping you. Call for an appointment today. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424. George, what's this about trying to reintroduce civics and flag respect back into the classroom? What's going on here?
Okay, Mr. Bell, I am not the one that's doing that. It's Adam Fowler.
Your grandson.
Yes, when we went to Boise this year to testify to get the flag at half staff on the Idaho roll call, we was headed back, and he said, Grandpa, he says, we need to get the flag back into school.
Right.
And I says, well, we do, but that'd be a good project for you.
Why? Stop right there. Why in the world is when you say get the flag back into the school? There's flags back in the school.
There's no teaching of it.
There you go. In education about the flag.
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, I had the privilege of hit the local schools on Flag Commencement Day, and Jim Hartwell and I talked to kids. And you go in there thinking, boy, you're really going to teach them? You learn so much from them. They're just hungry to learn.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, Senator Anthony was on your program, and I called in and asked about the flag education. He said he believes in it. So I told Adam, I says, honey, this is your chance. I says, write a letter to Senator Cameron, or
right.
Senator Anthony.
Right.
And sure enough, Senator Anthony jumped on that, and so it's going forward.
You know, I think this is great, and I read the letter that your grandson sent to Senator Kelly Anthon, and he wants to bring the teaching of the United States flag back to our schools, and that kind of sums it up. I was listening to a television show the other night, a news show, and they were talking about civics in the classroom and how this country, America, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth, we are not doing the job today. And I'll stand against any superintendent anywhere, anytime, and I think you will too. We are not teaching the great value of America.
We're not. You know, we've lost prayer in school. There's some of these states now took the flag out of the school. We're losing. We're not going to lose here.
Well, so what's going to happen if the senator backs this idea about bringing the teaching of the flag back in our schools? What will happen?
I met with Adam yesterday in Oakley.
Yeah.
And talked with Mrs. Babbitt, his teacher. She's very patriotic. She knew nothing about it, and she grabbed Adam and I and went straight to the principal's office.
Oh, my gosh. Do you mean to tell me at your age, you're an old antique, you got dragged into the principal's office?
Well, I've been there before.
You mean both.
But anyway, Principal Bedke, they jumped all over that. They're going to do a special program for that. They're really putting the heat on.
It really only takes one to start the ball rolling, doesn't it?
It does, and they said Adam will be doing a veterans deal for Veterans Day up there.
Oh, man, I love that.
All these schools I've went around to, and I've dropped the idea, about that, and I've got 100% support of that.
You know, George, what children can do sometimes leaves us as adults in awe.
It does. Gary Shoresman made a comment.
Isn't Gary a nice guy?
He is. Yeah, he's thinks my grandson just about it, too.
Oh, my.
But he says, what an idea to take those young kids up there and speak for the House and the legislatures.
Absolutely.
How are they going to tell those kids no?
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. It's nice to hear you speak so kindly of me.
Well, you called in right on cue. The minute I said what a nice guy, the phone was supposed to ring.
Well, I'm not as dumb as I look.
I'm not going there, buddy.
What can I do for you, Gary?
One of the best things about this little Adam Fowler that I would really like a lot of people to know is that he's only 11 years old and in the 5th grade. And when he has the encouragement and the camaraderie that he does with his grandfather, George, it's amazing what kids will do. And anyone listening to this, if they've got a grandkid that's even remotely interested or a child in anything, buddy up with them and let's talk about patriotism. And now we got his whole school in Oakley involved. It's just quite wonderful.
I tell you what I'm going to do, and George, with your permission, could I do this? Because Gary's got an event coming up, and I want to highlight that real quick. His commercials due next. Gary, you're on the air, and I'm going to do this right now. The 97th Annual Old Settlers Dinner is going to take place at the end of this month, September 26th, Saturday, at the Rupert Elks Lodge in Rupert. Check in at 11, dinner at 12 noon, and oh, is it going to be good. Tickin'. Did you ever had tickin'? Tickin' is a cross between turkey and chicken. Turkey dinner with all the fixins and cobbler for dessert. It's only $15, tax and tip included. And this is where I want you to chime in. The life and times of Artie Tyler. Boy, this is going to be interesting, Gary Shoresman.
Well, it became more interesting. I thought it was kind of clever to do a story on for a program on a cowboy, but then Artie became a lot more complex than I ever dreamed of, and the stories that went along with all the buddies. Sometimes they had 60 horses and 20 guys taking people on hunting trips up into the Selway. But he knew every rancher from Raft River up to Muldoon. And here he is, a little boy born in Los Angeles in 1899, to a very wealthy family. They moved to Lovelock, Nevada, have 10,000 head of sheep, 10,000 head of cows. I mean, he rejects all of that. All he wants to be is a cowboy.
Oh, boy. This is going to be a fun day.
I find all of this done through his son, Bob Tyler, who is now 81. So we'll feature both of them, but the story will be through him, as told to me.
Oh, it is going to be so much fun. 97th Annual Settlers Dinner, Old Settlers Dinner, Saturday, September 26th at the Rupert Elks Lodge. Get your tickets right now. Call Gary Shorsman at 436-3982. Gary, thank you. I'll keep plugging this every day. God bless you, and I hope it's a huge success.
And thank you, George, for letting me take over your time.
That's all right.
I'm guilty. Okay.
That's all right. That cancels the meatloaf, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Gary. God bless you. You know, George, you must be pretty proud of not only what your grandson is doing, trying to re-implement the teaching of our United States flag back in our schools, but you've got other people like Gary Shorsman and many others that are very supportive. That must make you very, very proud.
It is. And I think if a guy picks on a subject that's something that's dear to everybody's heart, you get the support.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's especially in our area, well, in the western United States, I'm going to say, is very patriotic, and we love our flag.
You know, wouldn't it be great to have Oakley start this and the ball rolling on flag respect and teach a class on flag respect and the appreciation of our great country of the United States of America, and then little by little it starts to snowball. All of this because of a letter that a young man wrote to a senator. That would be absolutely phenomenal.
It will.
And really, the letter shouldn't be necessary. They should be doing this anyway.
It is, but you've said many times, it just takes somebody with an idea to get it moving.
Absolutely.
And you can move a mountain.
You know, and you've been involved in many, many projects, and you know as well as I do that somebody says, well, my vote doesn't count, or one person can't make a difference. That's the furthest thing from the truth.
It is. It is, if you believe you can do it. Also, Zeb, while we're on talking about this Youth for Liberty, when we go to Boise, I want to take that whole group with us, and we'll be 2 different trips. And we'll be overnight, and there'll be expenses. And so I'm doing a raffle. Snyder's Army Surplus got a gun for me at a really, really good price.
Okay.
It's a 7mm mag, Remington mag, stainless steel barrel, camouflage with a scope.
Holy smokes. So the gun is camouflage and you can't see it?
That's it.
How are you going to pick it up?
Tie a string to it.
Okay, I'm bleeding. I cut myself.
But we're going to be selling spots for that. We're going to raffle it off. Reds and Paul will have a board there with the spots on it. Anybody who wants to contribute to that is $10 a spot.
Okay.
100% of the proceeds go to the Youth for Liberty.
All right.
There's Wyatt Sanders. His number is 679-1215, or my number at 650-0104. You call in, give us $10 and we'll get your name on there.
All right. Now, we want to leave this in the minds of everybody. The appreciation dinner for past Senator Dean Cameron will take place October 10th at the Rupert Elks, starting time 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and it's a goodwill donation dinner, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. It is. You're going to see a lot of people you probably haven't seen for quite a while.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. And now I'm going to ask you to be on your best behavior when you leave the studio and leave my zucchini bread that my wife made alone. You've already got a full loaf of it. Don't take mine.
I did not get a full loaf. I got 2.
All right. George, God bless you. Thanks for being here.
Mr. Bell, thank you for your time. I appreciate
You are
it.
very welcome. And be sure and leave me some information on the tickets for the drawing, and I'll plug that.
Okay. I'm going to get a picture. I'll email everything to you so you got...
Okay.
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Right,
dear friend George Mass on the program this morning, talking again about an appreciation dinner for Senator Dean Cameron, October 10th at the Rupert Elks, 4 to 6:30 p.m. Everybody try to be there. And also, very proud Grandpa, because he was talking about his grandson, Adam Fowler, with a letter to Senator Kelly Anthon to bring the teaching of the United States flag back to our schools. Very well done. Okay, we'll have more on that as the days progress, and I also want to remind you, too, about our dear friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. That's right, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call Ramsey's at 678-0459, and they can save you money and also provide warm winters and cool summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Really, really good folks. All right, let's see what else have I got here this morning before I get my next guest on the air. Oh, I do want to remind you that every Monday we are blessed to have the answer man from Skow's CarQuest Centers, Auto and Truck Parts. And Skow's, of course, located in Rupert, Hayburn, and Burley. And since 1949, Skow's, every detail matters in parts, sales, and service. They've got locations in Rupert at 323 East 8th Street, Highway 25. And, of course, CarQuest of Burley at 518 Overland in Burley. And Skow's Sterling Truck Center at 360 South, 400 West, I-84, exit 211 in Hayburn, exit 21, I believe it is, and they would love to serve you at Skow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts Centers, and you stop in and see them today. Really good folks. Every Monday at about 9:46, Jeff Poole's going to be on there with the Skow's Answer Man, answering questions that I sure don't know about the answers as far as the mechanics and everything else of your vehicles, how to take care of them. Very interesting, especially at this time of the year. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and I am very, very blessed to have this lovely doctor on the air with us this morning, and she is the chairman of the American College of Cardiology, and she is from, I believe, Houston, Texas, Dr. Kim Bircher. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you doing?
Well, it is an honor to talk to you, and I just got so many questions this morning, I don't know where to start first, but I understand that we're going to be talking about a certain month, this month of September, and what it means to everybody. How about telling us and filling us in about heart condition, heart health, and what we're going to be talking about this morning?
Absolutely. So September is National Cholesterol Education Month, and this is very important because it allows us to put some focus on cholesterol, bring the issue to people, and then talk to them about maybe some of the risks of high cholesterol and what they can do to reduce their risk. What we know is that cholesterol has been associated with heart disease and stroke. And it's very sensitive to some of the lifestyles that we have, in particular foods we eat, the amount of exercise we get, whether or not we choose to smoke, and then also some of the medications that we take. And the whole idea is about reducing risk and decreasing the chances of someone having a heart attack or stroke in the long run.
All right, but Dr. Bircher, what is cholesterol? Now, let me tell you right up front that I had a heart attack in January of this last winter. And I thought I was healthy as a horse, and all of a sudden things just fell apart. But what is cholesterol, and what can we do to minimize it?
Okay, that's a great question, and I'm glad you're doing better and you're back on the air. It sounds like you might be taking care of yourself now. So cholesterol is a waxy substance, and it builds up in the body. Now, cholesterol can come from a couple of different sources. Your body makes some, and that's kind of determined by heredity, what was your family history, that sort of thing. If you got the ability to make more cholesterol from mom and dad, we can't do much about that, but we can fight it a little harder. The other place cholesterol comes from is from the food you eat. Cholesterol is a waxy substance. It builds up inside the arteries in the body, and the arteries are all over the body, not just the heart, not just the arteries going to the neck, but we also have arteries in our legs, our legs as well. And what we know is that if you've got cholesterol buildup in your heart vessels, you may have also cholesterol buildup in the vessels in the other parts of your body. Now, the cholesterol can build up over time. It builds up something called plaque. And the danger of the plaque is it's somewhat unstable. A piece of the plaque may actually break off and block off the blood flow in the vessel, and that would cause a heart attack or stroke or acute ischemic disease, meaning the oxygen or the blood isn't getting to the area.
So the plaque actually caused by the cholesterol, and pardon me for being a little naive about this, but the plaque caused by the cholesterol can also act like a blood clot that breaks off and go to the heart. That can be the same thing?
Absolutely. So most people, when they have a heart attack, the perception is, these plaques have gotten bigger over time and they've totally blocked off the vessel. That's actually not the case. As we're building up cholesterol inside our blood vessels, the surface of the blood vessel is very friable. It's likely to break off. And what happens when the patient's in a vulnerable state, let's say there's stress or something has happened that causes that piece of that plaque to break off, the vessel's very small. So the fact that that vessel, that piece broke off, it goes and it floats to the area, and blood cells will stick to it, and it'll make a clot, and that's actually what ends up blocking off the vessel.
Okay, but
that
what
blood clot that formed on top of that piece of plaque that broke off.
What about, doctor, though, if you do have high cholesterol and you have your veins just clotted up with this massy, greasy kind of cholesterol texture, can you get rid of it, or is it going to be in your system for the rest of your life?
Okay, so that's a great question. So we cannot get rid of it. With the current technologies and things that we have, we currently cannot get rid of it. And the thing about cholesterol is we start building up the plaques or the little blockages from the time we're teenagers. So we have to think about what can we do to prevent those plaques from getting bigger.
I see.
So there's several things we can do. One, good heart-healthy diet. Another thing would be regular exercise. Another thing would be maintaining a healthy weight or trying to lose a few pounds if you're overweight or heavy. Another thing would be to stop smoking, avoid secondhand smoke. And then, of course, if, your physician or your clinician decides that perhaps you'd benefit from cholesterol medicine, taking that medicine as prescribed. So those would be ways to reduce the risk. But going back to your original question, we cannot get rid of the plaque.
Okay, but now in my case, I thought I was healthy as a horse. I mean, I got up every morning and lifted weights for about a half an hour, and all of a sudden, bang, the roof caved in. I have had high blood pressure in the past, and I believe that's a major contributing factor. But what about diet? Let's talk a little bit about diet. Once you have had a heart attack or prior to a heart attack with the cholesterol buildup, what are you saying, that we should just live on bread and water?
Oh, absolutely not. We're not built to just live on bread and water. I think the main thing is about making healthy choices and eating a heart-healthy diet. And in general, what I'm going to talk about is good for everyone. It's not, a special diet that someone needs to be on if they have high blood pressure or if they have cardiovascular disease. It's good for the whole family. In general, the foods that contribute to cholesterol come from an animal. So when you think about what foods we get from an animal, we get meat, we get milk, we get eggs. So what we need to do is think about making healthy choices related to that. So with meat, in general, fish and chicken and turkey are better choices than beef and pork. That doesn't mean you can't have beef and pork. It just means maybe you limit the number of times you have it a week, or you have smaller portions when you have it, that sort of thing.
Well, let me interrupt you right there. Let me interrupt you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let me interrupt you on occasion when you're making some valid points. One of the things I think people are worried about once they've had a heart attack or developed heart problems, they think, oh boy, the rest of my life I've got to just have chicken and lettuce. No, I honestly believe, doctor, and tell me I'm wrong because you're the expert, but you can intersperse once in a while with the foods that you enjoy, right or wrong?
Oh, you are absolutely right. There's no forbidden food. The whole thing is moderation. So, if there's certain foods that you enjoy and want to have those on occasion, that is totally okay.
All right.
We don't want you to stop living.
Absolutely.
We want you to enjoy the things you can, but we want you to have a full life.
All right. Now, we've got a caller with a question. Caller, quickly, go ahead for Dr. Bircher.
I was just thinking about the use of vinegar in your diet, if that helps.
All right, we'll ask her.
I'll let her answer that.
All right, sir. What about vinegar in a person's diet, Dr. Bircher?
So the question was about vinegar?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? There's some concerns about vinegar. We don't know one way or the other for sure. What we need to keep in mind is, they haven't done any big studies on it and that sort of thing. Sometimes people will observe things when they take certain things into their diet, and they'll jump to a conclusion based on things that they observed. The thing I worry about with vinegar, it can be very acidic. And, some people have problems with indigestion and things like that. It might interfere with the absorption of some of the medications that you take. It might cause some other problems. So in general, that's not a recommendation that we would make.
All right. Now, let me ask you this question, Doctor. I would assume that soda drinks, whether they're diet or not, are not that good for your system. I think that a less than 1% or 2% fat milk would be better than soda. Am I wrong?
You know what? That's a good question. In general, we recommend staying away from processed foods and things like that, minimizing that. Sodas, in particular, can be hard sometimes on your kidneys. In general, we like to go with things that are more natural, water, milk, things like that. Right. And you mentioned milk. We like to say 1% or less. So skim milk, 0.5% or 1% would be good, healthy choices.
Now, as far as the foods are concerned, and I'm so glad that we're talking about this, but occasionally, and that's the word I keep using, occasionally, if a piece of peach pie and a little scoop of ice cream looks good, it's not going to kill anybody, but you can't do it every day as a continuous diet, correct or not?
Right. Here again, going back to there are no forbidden foods, but if there's a special occasion, a birthday party, Thanksgiving, something like that, and you want to indulge a little bit, that's fine, but we don't want that to be the habit every day. The peach pie, there's no fat really in peach pie. It would have some sugar, so if you have a person that has a tendency towards having a higher blood sugar or their triglycerides are high, we might say, watch the sweets, that sort of thing. But ice cream in general is high in fat, so we would worry about that particular one for someone who has heart disease. We definitely wouldn't want to have ice cream every day.
Once, and maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse here in our conversation, but in my case, where I had a heart attack back in January, and I had minimal effects, I was very, very blessed. And less than 5% 25% damage, they said. And I exercise every day. I've never smoked. My blood pressure has gone way down, and I'm right at about 126 over 60 as far as my blood pressure is concerned. And what about me? Use me as an example. I love to eat steak. I love to eat meat. I'm getting a fond dislike for chicken because I have it almost every day, but I feel really good. What are my chances for having a recurrence with the same problem?
Well, we know that people who have had a heart attack are probably at more risk of having a heart attack than someone who's never had one.
Right.
You're doing lots of great things. You're taking care of yourself. Your blood pressure is amazing. It's almost the blood pressure of a teenager. So it sounds like you're doing lots of good things and taking care of yourself. You didn't really mention salt. I suspect you're watching your salt intake, or you wouldn't have a blood pressure like that.
I have not picked up a salt.
You can indulge yourself if you want to have that steak occasionally. That's fine. We don't want you eating chicken all the time and being miserable.
It's getting to the point with chicken every day that when I drive by a Colonel Sanders, I get my temper up to about 900 degrees. Let me say this. You mentioned about salt, and I want to get this point in. I thought that would be the hardest thing for me to give up. I have not touched a salt shaker since January of this last winter, and really, Doctor, I haven't missed it.
You know what? And you've discovered something that many people could discover if they would only try. Their salt is in many of the foods we eat naturally.
Right.
If you eat out, a lot of times they already season the food. I would encourage people to taste their food before they pick up the salt shaker and use it. And then salt has a tremendous impact on your blood pressure. I can't emphasize that enough. What we often recommend to our patients is try some of the different spice mixes and things like that for cooking rather than using the salt, because it's the sodium in the salt that raises the blood pressure.
Let me talk to you a little bit about exercise, because I thought I was getting enough exercise and the right kind of exercise, but what should a person do on a daily basis? And I realize some people have a hard time because of their schedules, etc., to allocate time for exercise, but give us an example of what we should be doing.
Okay, absolutely. The main thing is to exercise safely. So let's say the physician or your clinician has told you to only do certain types of things. Stick with that. So I don't want to imply what I'm talking about applies to those people. But in general, we recommend 30 to 40 minutes of exercise a day. And this could be walking, biking, swimming, just physical activity. We want you using your muscles. You don't have to do it all the time, all at one time. You can break it up in small segments throughout the day. I find that a lot of our patients in Houston, they have long hours at their desk, and it's good to get up and take breaks. Walk down the hall, get a drink of water, walk a flight of stairs, come back down, something like that. It makes you feel better, but it's also a good way to sneak exercise in during the day.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked a little bit about me having a heart attack and where I need to go from here in the future, but what about people that are fairly sedentary in their jobs and they're just kind of sitting back watching the world spin by and they've never had a heart attack? What would you tell them they'd better get up and start doing today?
I would just say move more. A lot of people have success using pedometers or gadgets or things like that to monitor their steps. In general, we say try to get 10,000 steps in a day. That's totally unreasonable for somebody who hasn't been walking or exercising. So I would say find opportunities where you can move more. Does it mean you walk down the block and back? Do you take your dog for a walk where you haven't been doing that? Walk down to the mailbox and back. When you go to the grocery store, walk around the outer edge of the grocery store, make the trip a little longer, something like that. But find ways to sneak exercise into your day.
You know, the one thing that I'm glad that I have not done, and yet because I'm an asthmatic and I've always hated smoke, and I had a policy when I was announcing rodeos full time all across the United States that anybody that smoked had to put that cigarette out up in the announcer stand because I couldn't take it. And secondhand smoke can be very detrimental. Talk about that just briefly, if you would, please.
Absolutely. Secondhand smoke can be bad for everyone, but it can especially be bad for people who have cardiovascular disease. What happens when you're exposed to secondhand smoke, your blood vessels don't dilate as well as they would if you were in a smoke-free environment. So it actually puts stress on your blood vessels and, could cause problems down the line. In general, we say, don't smoke and avoid secondhand smoke.
All right, we have another caller with a quick question. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Quickly, please.
Yeah, the doctor was talking about walking and exercise. Is leisurely walking as good as a brisk walk? Or, how should we handle that?
All right, I'll have her explain that over the air. Thank you, sir, for your call. I appreciate that. What about it, doctor? Do you want somebody to really take off and go walking, waving their arms back and forth, or is a leisurely walk in the park as good?
Okay, so a brisk walk would be better than leisurely walking. But if you're willing and able to do a leisurely walk, that's better than not walking.
Absolutely.
Some people don't have the stamina to walk really fast or hard. What we like to say is if you can walk and talk, you're probably okay. But if you're walking and you're out of breath and you can't talk, you're probably going too fast.
Okay. Now, this is National Cholesterol Education Month. What would you want people to do today? Contact their doctors, get a cholesterol test? I mean, what really is the main thing that you want to leave with our listeners this morning?
Right. I would say take care of your bodies. Eat a heart healthy diet, get regular daily exercise, avoid tobacco and secondhand smoke. Make an appointment. If you don't know your cholesterol values, make an appointment, get your cholesterol checked, find out what the numbers mean, find out what your overall risk is, and then decide to make changes to lead a healthier life.
On behalf of your position as chairperson of the American College of Cardiology, are there ever-changing scientific studies about the human heart and about how to take care of our heart? Or is everything known about the heart forever? Or are there new innovative ideas that are coming forth?
The great thing about cardiology is there's always something new coming out. Some of the things we've talked about today are foundations of keeping a healthy heart. But a lot of times, people will have heart attacks or strokes or things like that, and we need to make sure that we have the best therapies to help these patients have a good and healthy life. I'm sure after you had your heart attack, maybe your medication list changed, you had to take things you didn't take, that sort of thing. It's real important for people to take their medications as prescribed. The science has shown us that certain combinations of medications after a heart attack or stroke work best and help decrease overall risk. There's also technology that's coming out, new testing, ways of doing things, and, a lot of times they can fix problems that they couldn't fix many years ago. So I would say cardiology is everything.
All right, I'm going to take one more call, and it's got to be real short because I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, caller. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you've talked about this already or not, but I have a question about where are we supposed to be nowadays on this? Is it 140 over 90 or 120 over 90 or what?
Okay, I'll have her answer that on the air. Dr. Bircher, what is an ideal blood pressure? And I would assume that varies with the individual. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right, Zeb. So in general, a blood pressure of about 120 over 80 is ideal. but we have to tailor the blood pressure to the person. Sometimes elderly patients in particular cannot tolerate a blood pressure that low because they'll have dizzy spells. They won't be able to walk across the room. They won't be able to do the things they normally do. So sometimes the clinicians will make allowances, and the blood pressure may be allowed to go higher. Now, keep in mind, your blood pressure may be higher during exercise than it would be if you were sitting in a chair. It's very important, though, when you take your blood pressure, you take it with appropriate technique. And keep a log. If you have questions, you can take the log in and talk to your clinician about it at your next office visit.
I hope you will consent to coming back on this program. Dr. Kim Bircher, I have thoroughly enjoyed having you on the air. She is the chairperson of the American College of Cardiology's LDL. God bless you, and thank you so much for being with us this morning.
It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Day.
You too. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Kim Bircher with the American College of Cardiology, and her practice is in Houston, Texas, and I certainly appreciate her being on the air. Oh, my. You're probably saying to yourself, Zeb, you're late. Yes, I am. It's time for the weather. I didn't look at the clock. And the weather is brought to you by Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, great food. Great family food, delicious food, and entertainment at Duck Uglies. You're going to love it. Great atmosphere, and like I said, the entertainment, they bring in some of the best local talent you've ever heard. Oh, my goodness, old Ned Carter. I'll tell you what, now he can pick and grin. At Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Here now is the weather.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a little bit on the rainy side for today. About 1/10 of an inch is what we're expecting, along with some afternoon thunderstorms as well. High of 67 for today, tonight low of 50. For tomorrow, rain showers will continue in the forecast with a high of 60, overnight low of 43. And what do you know, more rain for Thursday. Slight chance of a thunderstorm as well, high of 58 with an overnight low of 38. And then as we move on into the weekend, it's going to be clearing up. Looks like sunny skies and 65, possibly 70 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Well done. And, of course, it's brought to you this hour by Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, my. I love going to Duck Uglies. You will, too. Stop in and see them today. Great menu choices and specials at Duck Uglies, 163 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, next hour we have the one, the only Dr. History that'll be walking through the door momentarily, I hope, or I'm going to get really worried. And then at 10:30 we've got a gentleman from the Media Research Center by the name of Scott Whitlock going to be talking about Hillary and how the networks are hiding some of the facts about her low numbers in the polls. So stay tuned for that. You are listening to Zeb at the Ranch, and make sure that you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call them today at 312-0957. Really, really nice folks. Another quick note, don't forget that we're going to have our high school game of the week announced this week. I'll give you a little preview on that. Valley versus Oakley is going to be our Denny's game of the week, and be sure and get your pick as to who's going to win, what the final score is going to be, and the winning team and the closest to the final score is going to receive, the person that picks the winning team and the closest to the final score, receive a grand slam breakfast from Denny's restaurant, too. Don't forget that. And we're going to be back in just a few minutes with more on Zeb at the Ranch, and back over to Wheels, and we will return. Oh, when I hear that music, it means, Zeb, you better get back in the saddle and ride for another hour. Okay, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including, of course, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service today to get rid of your garbage, 734-6969. And also, Valley Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Everything for the farm, the home, and the ranch. You know what? Before we go with Dr. History, are you hungry? Listen to this. The Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today, for a special, they are having beef stir-fries served over white rice with soup or salad. That sounds very good. Very good. And very health conscious, too. Stop into the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Wonderful people, great menu items at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Don't you miss it. It is time for one of my favorite segments, and the gentleman, and I mean that, he is a gentleman that does this program, is Dr. History, better known as Dr. Ken Turner. And we've been doing this for a long time on this program, and it's brought to you and sponsored by some really good folks at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, with old Zack Attack and the rest of the crew right across from the airport. They've got everything, all your lumber, your windows, all your carpet needs. Man, they've got an inventory to serve you at Minnecasia Sales. And right now, without further ado, chomping on the bit to tell us about the old Cowboys, here's Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, partner.
It's a good day.
For what?
For staying in the house.
There you go.
Because it's raining.
It is raining. What's going on in your world?
Well, just had number 13 grandchild yesterday.
And who is the daughter?
Alyssa Terry.
Hello, Alyssa. How are you? What's the name of the little one?
Cooper Henry Terry.
It sounds like a steel driving man.
He may be. He's kind of stocky.
All right. Go ahead, Grandpa.
Yeah. Well, you know, TV and Hollywood has glamorized the cowboy to where a lot of people really don't truly understand what the cowboy life was like.
You know, can I stop you there for a minute? And I think you'll agree with me. I think that Hollywood, in its beginning form, showed the dirt, showed the grime back in the 30s and 40s, but then all of a sudden along came the 60s, 70s with like Bonanza. I mean, they were always clean, and they were clean-shaven, and the Cartwrights would ride up to the camera and look like they were off the cover of a fashion magazine. That's not really what it was like.
Well, you just wait till I tell you some of these things. And you're actually more than what you're saying. So,
all right.
Okay, this is a letter sent to the owner of a ranch. Okay. It says, "Dear Sir," began the report of a ranch hand to his absentee employer back east. "We have branded 800 calves this roundup. We have made some hay. Potatoes is a fair crop. That Englishman you left in charge at the other camp got too fresh, and we had to kill the son of a gun."
It's not what's in the book. I know it's not.
"Nothing much has happened since you left. Yours truly, Jim."
And you censored it.
I did, yes. Anyway,
why is your face red?
Well, you know, even during this brief heyday, which lasted really not that long, between the end of the Civil War and about the mid-1880s, the number of cowboys who rode the cattle trails across the Great Plains really was no more than about 40,000. Now, that may sound like a lot or not enough, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they lived by a code. They performed these brutal jobs, putting themselves against the cattle, the land, and they were surprisingly young. And their average age was only 24. But as you've seen cowboys, they get old pretty fast in the saddle.
Oh, absolutely.
After years of being out in the sunshine. And I mean, a lot of them only lasted maybe 5 or 6 or 7 years.
A lot of them looked like Wilford Brimley, and they were only 18 years old.
Yeah. And, you know, in some ways, the cowboys were a pretty mixed lot. About 1 in every 6 or 7 was Mexican. A similar proportion were black people. But they'd learned how to ride and rope when they served as slaves on Texas ranches.
Absolutely.
And there were even some Indians that were cowboys. So, anyway, you know, and some of the guys were what we'd call a saddle bum. You know, they'd take advantage of the custom of offering food and tobacco to anybody that happened to show up at the ranch.
Rode the grub line.
Yeah, and there were even a few sailors that traded the sea for the plains.
You know, and there was, well, never mind. I don't want to take your time. There was a movie about that, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Yeah, so, but anyway, you know, the term cowboy, they're really not sure where that came from. They may have come from Texas, where bandits stole cattle from Mexicans, and after the Civil War, some of them came west to tend cattle, but the term cowboy, they're really not sure where that really came from. So, but in performing that chore, the cowboy's most useful instrument was, of course, the horse.
Absolutely.
Now, distances on the range were too great for a pedestrian, and without horses, it would have been impossible to round up and drive millions of cattle over the plains.
Can you imagine somebody on foot trying to move those unruly, absolutely godforsaken longhorn cattle?
I've chased cows on foot, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But the act of sitting high in the saddle gave the cowboy a kind of a sense of majesty and power, and most cowboys, in their judgment, said that a man afoot is no man at all.
That's right.
And a cowpuncher named Joe once went so far as to admit that a dismounted cowboy was just a plain, bow-legged human who smelled very horsey at times, slept in his underwear, and was subject to boils.
So I didn't know I had video cameras in here.
Well, they can't smell anything. Anyway, the second tool that was indispensable for the cowboy was, of course, the rope, or the lariat. Now,
introduced by the Spanish vaqueros.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
You could rope a cow. You could rope their hooves, their legs. A 140-pound cowboy could capture a 1,000-pound animal. It could be transformed into an instant corral when it was stretched by several men. It could be used as a hobble to keep a horse from straying away at night. And hitched around a saddle horn, a lariat served to pull a lot of cows out of bogs. Not least in the legend of the West, a rope could be looped into a noose to serve as quick justice when someone was caught in the unforgivable sin of stealing a horse.
That's right.
That was worse than stealing a cow.
That really, when did that go out as far as there was an automatic punishment of the death penalty when you stole a horse? When did that?
I don't know for sure.
That's your homework assignment.
Had to be the late 1800s.
Okay.
So, and then, of course, another proud possession was the gun. Now, it was not always the celebrated Colt. In fact, when a cowboy went hunting for antelope or jackrabbits, he was more than likely to leave the revolver back at the bunkhouse.
And quite frankly, they were the poorest shots in the West.
And if they were going to go hunting, they carried a rifle or a shotgun. But the Colt was, it was handy if you had to kill a rattlesnake, if you had to finish off a horse that had a broken leg, or turning aside a stampede that was heading out, So they used them. And there were, of course, occasions when cowboys used their guns against other humans. Cowboys on the trail's end spree might succumb to both a little alcohol.
Oh, come on.
And a little desire to show off their manhood.
Now, that does not, I don't agree with that at all. I've never heard of any cowboys ever having an adult beverage.
No, mostly pop.
Okay. Right. Pepsi, please.
Yeah. But, the cattle trade also embraced a fair number of outright thugs who doubled as cowhands when they weren't rustling or working as enforcers for ranch owners.
You're not painting a very good picture.
And one such guy, his name was Sharbar, killed no fewer than 32 people.
Oh, my goodness.
But that was a little unusual.
I hope.
Yeah. But, still a cowboy was certainly aware that guns gave him kind of an aura of manliness, and he weighted himself down with firearms when he wished to impress a girl. And, pride in his image was also reflected in the clothing he wore.
Yeah.
A cowboy would spend as much as 4 months' wages on a hat.
Yep.
With a fancy sweatband.
Still do.
Yeah. His boots were custom made.
Yep.
Sometimes cost him more than $50 a pair.
Yep.
Heels, of course, were the high, narrow, and sloped so they'd sit in the stirrup firmly. The pointed toe made him so that they could get the foot in the stirrup easily and to slip out if he was thrown.
Yep.
However, the most common form of death among cowboys was to be dragged by a horse.
Yeah, it was.
And I didn't realize that. But, even in our day, you've heard stories of people that...
And then they always put their spurs in the town hole. You know what that means?
I don't.
That's when they dropped the spurs down a little lower so that when they walked across the boardwalks, you'd hear the scraping of the spurs and the jingling.
Hear the jingle.
True. Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah. Well, anyway, left to his own devices with very little law, the cowboy developed kind of an unwritten code of behavior that was understood by nearly everyone. A man's word was his bond.
Mm-hmm.
The end of a noose awaited a horse thief. Hospitality to visiting cowboys was a sacred obligation. Someone rode into your camp, you fed him. These were among the cardinal principles of the code, but there were a great many more. Now, some of the finer points dictated a horseman's etiquette. No one borrowed a horse from another man's string without his permission, which was rarely given.
Yep.
Because if you had a good horse, you didn't want somebody ruining it.
No, I wouldn't want you on mine.
No. And one did not whip or kick a borrowed horse.
No.
Now, when two mounted cowboys approached each other on the trail, a friendly word was appropriate, but a wave of greeting was considered bad. Now, I didn't know that. But because it might spook a horse.
It depends on what you waved at.
Yeah, I guess, you know. Now, if one man dismounted, the other did too, so they would meet on equal terms. A man on foot did not grab the bridle of a mounted man's horse, because that could be taken on an intrusion of the rider's control.
Absolutely.
So probably a good place to...
See, but you saw a lot of that stuff in the movies, and they didn't do any research on this.
Nope.
Yeah. I'm going to do a commercial while you're drinking your water.
Okay.
Or like in the Old West, they drank the sarsaparilla. Stand by, Mini-Cash's Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport with Zach and the crew. Oh, boy, now's the time to upgrade your windows with the Western Windows. Save on your heating costs this winter. And check out all the great carpet right there. Do a lot of remodeling for the fall and the winter with all the family coming for Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything. Stop in at Mini-Cash's Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley. Number to call, 878-2091. And now back to the old buckaroo. Here's
the old
Dr.
cowboy. You know, other rules govern kind of the rangeland housekeeping, just general rules.
Yeah.
For example, a cowboy was expected to close the pasture and corral gates behind him.
Yeah.
They were actually supposed to take their spurs off when they entered another man's house.
Yeah. Still do.
Yeah. And on a roundup, a cowboy did not wait for his fellow hands to arrive before beginning a meal. He helped himself, began eating at once, so he would be out of the way when the other guys came in to eat.
And go out to the herd while the other ones were taking a break. Yep.
Now, one activity that did not submit to any restrictions was swearing. Now, I know this is going to be hard for you to believe. But
doggone it.
Darn. You know, cowboy talk kind of was somewhere around 1/3 profanity, which was either directed at a horse or a cow. And anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, but God, I think, forgives people that work with livestock. Because they can be the dumbest.
There's got to be some forgiveness there. Well, anyway, you know, and now in matters of money, most cowboys bound themselves to be trusting and trustworthy. In fact, one North Dakota hand gave back part of his wages for digging post holes because he realized later that he had dug one of them too shallow.
Are you kidding me?
Now, here's something else. Now, at payoff time, bosses might dump sacks of money on the ground and leave them there, left alone for days at a time until the boys came by to pick up their wages.
Wow.
Now, that's honesty.
Yeah, it is.
To
a fault.
Yeah. Now, the Cowboys Code observed special reverence for the ladies, and it wasn't unusual for a lonesome cowboy to end up at a rancher's home, ride for miles just to sit next to a nice young lady at the in the rocking chair.
Oh, you made that sound so pure. Oh, my goodness.
We're going to move right along.
Yeah, I'll bet you are. Get on your horse.
Well, anyway, for all his faults, you know, the cowboy redeemed himself by the pride he took in his work. There's a guy named Ed Lemon who knew every brand in the West. He handled more than 1 million cattle in his lifetime, and he set the record for the most cows, 900, cut out of a herd and branded in a single day. 900.
Single day? How many people do you have working with him?
Well, he had to have guys on the ground, right?
Oh, man. Well, imagine that.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, in the setting of the Western Ranch, the most comfortless place of all was the bunkhouse where the hired hands lived. Now, this is where we're going to deviate from Hollywood just a little.
I would imagine that they could have stood a little air freshener.
You'll be right when I get done with this. You know, typically it was a shack made from weatherboard or cottonwood logs. In some cases, the cowboys themselves put in board ceilings over a single main room, so one room. And always the bunkhouses were distinguished by their smell.
Yeah.
The aroma was now if you can, I can't imagine this, but was a composite of sweaty men, dry cow manure, old work boots, chewing tobacco plugs, the smoke from lamps that were burning coal oil, or perhaps even the tallow rendered from the general supply of skunks that was around the ranches.
Well, I remember when you had your office in Burley, I commented how it smelled like that.
You better not tell my secretaries. But there was a chronic look of untidiness around these places. Clothes were hung on the floor, as one historian of the cowboy era said, so they wouldn't fall down and get lost.
There you go.
And amid the filth were some of the unwelcome guests. There's a cowboy by the name of Charlie. He recalled that his bunkhouse pals made an ironclad rule that whoever was caught picking lice off and throwing them on the floor without first killing them should pay a fine of 10 cents for each and every offense. Now,
I have no comment there.
Anyway, okay, so we'll just keep on moving here.
Yeah, I wish you would.
On the premises around the ranch house, cowboy work often tend to be downright undignified, especially if it had to be done on foot. If you were a cowboy, you expect to be on a horse. But
that's right.
One particular cowboy had a 3-week stretch where he did nothing but gather dried cow manure for fires.
Well, everybody's got to do something.
Everybody's got to be somewhere. Now out on the range, cattle had to be watched and worried over to keep them healthy or even alive. Now, throughout the summer, for example, cows by the thousands had to be doctored for blowflies.
Yeah.
And these insects, laid their eggs
right.
In open wounds, such as a fresh brand.
Absolutely.
And the eggs developed into screwworms, maggots about 3/4 of an inch long, which sometimes would actually kill the animal.
You're sure making it easy for people to want to go to college to be a cowboy.
Well, anyway, the men carried bottles containing a powerful mixture of carbolic acid and axle grease, among other ingredients.
That's right.
And crude remedies occasionally turned out to be more lethal than the ailments. Now, one cowboy got orders to treat a bunch of cows suffering from a skin disease. Well, he did by dousing them with kerosene from a garden sprinkling can, and this was the standard cure, and it should have worked.
But he set them on fire.
But one cow ran through a branding fire that turned it into a living torch. The flaming cow fled back to the others and ignited the whole bunch. 20 head.
You're not kidding, are you?
No, I'm not kidding.
I was joking.
20 head.
It really happened.
It really happened.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
But that was the standard procedure. You used,
That really is broiled beef.
Yeah, you used kerosene.
Wow.
So, and then in the summertime, the cattlemen had to keep a steady watch for fire. A blaze could sweep over entire counties, killing cattle and wiping out the grass, which we just had this summer, Zeb, over here with some of the wild horses that got caught in that. But, to curb the fires, cowboys got behind plows and made fire breaks, sets of furrows 75 to 200 feet apart, with the grass in between them purposely burned off.
Yeah.
And one guy estimated that in a single summer he had plowed 150 miles of fire breaks.
Oh, my goodness.
But, again, it's just something that had to be done.
Yeah, but if they'd let the cowboys and people in agriculture take care of things the way they should be, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems.
Right. Yeah.
We've got these so-called experts from back east.
Yeah, that know all about it.
Yeah.
But, in later days, the coming of windmills and barbed wire largely eliminated any need to move the cattle from range to range during summer and winter.
Yeah.
But a rancher would fence off an area to keep the animals from wandering off, and then provide them with an adequate supply of water from maybe a windmill pumped tank. But though the cowhands were saved a lot of hard driving, the wire presented a new set of duties. And now a whole lot of sorry things can happen to a fence. One old-timer said, riders called pliers, they were called pliers, men, which, is what the tool we used. But riders called pliers, men went out to patrol the fences, equipped with a pouch full of staples, a roll of spare wire, and a tool that served as both nippers and hammer. And one man usually was assigned 10 to 15 miles of fence.
Yeah, we're almost out of time here.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we'll just save some of the rest of this.
Maybe we ought to. We ought to get into the food and some of that stuff next time.
Okay, we can do that.
And the old bunkhouse cookie.
Yeah, and we've talked about him a little bit before.
Sometimes he would not qualify hygienically to get a job downtown.
And the old picture of the horse reaching over to grab a biscuit, that never happened.
Really?
Horses did not get close to the cook.
Really?
Oh, no.
Oh.
That was one of the cardinal sins on a cattle drive. Your horse does not come anywhere near the cook or what he's doing.
Absolutely. Well, you've got this figured out, don't you?
I do. I would love to have gone back there for a little while.
We can build a time machine and send you back to the 1860s.
I want to stay in the ranch house, not the bunkhouse.
You know, that's really interesting what you said, but the only show that I can recall that was made in the 60s, as a matter of fact, that I thought was very close to realism with the clothing, and what they did was the series Rawhide. They came pretty close to what actually happened.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Rawhide.
Yeah.
I mean, Clint Eastwood and those guys, I felt like they did a good job.
And then there was another movie that was made called The Culpeper Cattle Company.
Yes.
And that was very realistic with the period clothing and the saddles and everything.
Wasn't that the one where they used the young boys? Was that the one where they used the young boys as
no,
cowboys?
that's John Wayne and the Cowboys.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
John Wayne and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But anyway, appreciate it. We'll have more on this next week.
I think so. I've got more. Yeah, we can cover some more on
good.
this.
And what about the terminology on the Indians? I'm sure you've got that for us today, don't you?
We'll just put that on the back burner for a little while longer.
I love putting you on the spot.
One of these days.
Okay. Dr. History brought to you by Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport, and Zach and the crew serving you. And the number to call, 878-2091. Dr. History, you did an outstanding job today.
Thank you, Zeb. You have a good day.
Now, are you going to go see the new grandbaby?
Held that baby last night.
Really?
We were there, yep.
Does he have your resemblance?
No, he's good looking.
You can't top that line.
He's good looking.
Hey, real quick, what about our friends over in China? Are they still listening?
They are still listening. I've actually heard from some people in Sweden, England, and Costa Rica.
Really?
Yeah, so we're getting some listeners really still from all over the world.
And we haven't been sued yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
We're still on the air.
Okay, there we go. Thanks, Doc. Appreciate
it.
God bless. Hey, don't forget on Thursdays we also have another segment we're very happy to bring you. It's called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Oh, they've got hundreds of cute fall dresses that have arrived from 3 months to size 16. And don't forget they've got all the books and the games, and they've got everything for the wee ones, the little babies. It's all there at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with Ambulatory Surgery Center, life-saving colonoscopies, knee, hand, and foot surgery. Please call them first, and they can save you money. Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 677-8888. And we thank A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center for bringing you on Thursdays, School Days in Cassia County. We're going to send this over to our main studios. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, that was a fun time with Dr. History. I really enjoy him, and I think he said, and I'm probably going to stand corrected, that we are now being listened to with that segment in over 110 countries, and we haven't been sued. We haven't had any world wars occurred because of our being on the air. I guess we're okay, so we'll stay with it. Dr. History every Tuesday on Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you very much. We're going to have our next guest with us in a moment, but before that, I want to remind you about Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, with my good friend Ryan Horsley. They have the large selection of all the new firearms from Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, and all the ammo and all the accessories. But they've got something else. They've got top-notch quality people that can answer all your questions. They've been in business since 1936 in historic Old Town Twin Falls. Red's Trading Post. You stop in and see them today. Great customer service. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Stop in and see them today. Want to also remind you, too, that Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, easy for me to say, Zeb, a heat pump. You and your family will enjoy enjoy the comfort. All you have to do is call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money with Lennox. You give them a call today. This next guest, I want to say thank you very much to him right up front, because he jumped in this morning and filled in a slot for me that was opened up because of a cancellation of another guest. And senior news analyst for the Media Research Center, Scott Whitlock. Scott, thanks for being on the program this morning. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Scott, what about Hillary Clinton? Is she really all the glitters is gold, or, boy, she's having some problems right now? Tell us about your story that you wrote.
Well, yeah, we looked at ABC News and Washington Post. They collaborate on polls, and they had a new one that came out on Sunday. And the kind of amusing thing that we found out is that ABC wasn't really interested in their own poll, because what we found out when we looked at it was that they covered the results of the poll as far as how it affects Donald Trump and how he was doing and how he's surging in the polls. But they didn't cover what their own poll found about Hillary Clinton, which was that since the last time they took this poll in the end of July, Hillary Clinton has dropped 21 points from 63% to 42%. So Good Morning America and World News on ABC, they didn't cover that at all. And the funny part is that CBS and NBC did cover. They covered their competitors' poll, but ABC didn't cover it themselves. So they don't seem to be that interested in the growing and continual bad news for Hillary Clinton.
Why, Scott? I mean, what are you finding when you did your investigating on this story? I mean, are they so in bed with the liberals? Are they so in bed with the Clinton philosophy from the days gone by when Wild Bill was the president? Are they so enhanced by these people that they're going to distort or not even report on the facts?
Well, there's no doubt that there has been historically a lot of affection for the Clintons in the media, not just ABC. I'm sure you know that, your listeners know that. But what we've been finding is that it doesn't appear as though they're ready to make the jump yet to another candidate. In 2008, what you saw was they had a lot of favorable coverage for Hillary Clinton, but then Barack Obama came by and sort of swept a lot of the people in the media off their feet. Chris Matthews, you remember, had the tingle up his leg and so on. And so we haven't really seen that yet. What we found is that there's been some interest in Biden running. There's been interest in Sanders. They haven't really hit him for being as hard left and socialist as he is. But no, it doesn't look like that they're ready to make that jump to another candidate. And right now we haven't seen that candidate arise. It's possible if you see Biden run and you have maybe a Biden-Warren ticket that maybe you'll see more journalists and more media outlets kind of get ready to head for the exit, but we haven't seen it yet.
Scott, what is there about the Democratic Party? When you look at it, and you're the expert, and we've got a bunch of has-beens or wannabes. We've got Hillary Clinton that's been a wannabe, and she's also a has-been, and doesn't really have anything new to project to the American public. Bernie Sanders, kind of a white-haired old snowman approach to socialism that this country, I hope, never adopts. And then from then on, you've got, again, a bunch of has-beens or wannabes. On the other side, we've got some new, refreshing names and faces coming into politics. Can't the American public see through this, that we've got to get away from the old wannabes and has-beens and try to stimulate new blood in politics to get this country back on track?
Well, I think you make a really good point, and it actually comes to the media bias angle, which is you have Hillary Clinton, who is definitely older. You have Bernie Sanders, who is in his 70s. You have Joe Biden, who is also not a young man. And you look at the Democratic field, and those three candidates are all old. There's no other way to put it. And you contrast that with people like Marco Rubio or Scott Walker, some of the names you've mentioned, Rand Paul. Whatever you think of any of those guys, they definitely are offering something new and different. They're offering something that a lot of people haven't seen before, and especially with Republican candidates. You have Carly Fiorina. And so you're not seeing what we saw. All you have to do is look back to 2008, look back to John McCain, or you can go back even farther and look back to Bob Dole. And whenever the Republicans nominate a candidate who is perceived as old, kind of that standard old white men cliche that they have for Republicans, that's the narrative that is played up. Are they healthy? Are they too old? Can they handle the job? And we just have not seen that for Hillary Clinton, and I don't think that you're going to see that if Joe Biden gets into the race either.
Okay, but now let's be fair here, and I want to hear your opinion on this. You're looking at Donald Trump phenomena, and Donald Trump, correct me if I'm wrong, is 69 years old right now, and so he's not exactly the new kid on the block, but he is bringing in new, refreshing ideas like, gee, let's get America winning again, which I'm greatly in favor of. What is the appeal for Donald Trump, and why? And how can anybody attack him and expect to make any headway? All they're going to do is cut their own throat.
Well, I think the appeal is kind of some of the things that you've just been saying, that he's blunt, he's direct, and we haven't seen a lot of that, at least not recently. Someone who will say, obviously, exactly what they think. Now, that can have upsides and downsides, but he's definitely appealing to a lot of people in a way that some of the other Republican candidates haven't been. So what we've been seeing from the media is, they're kind of treating him like a reality TV star, and not at this point they haven't really taken him seriously. Now, as this kind of phenomenon continues, we'll have to see if that's changed. But so far, that they've really made attempts to minimize him and kind of downplay his candidacy.
Yeah, but Scott, when you look at him drawing thousands and thousands, like last night, 20,000 people in Dallas, Texas, 20,000 people, unscripted, no teleprompters, leaning on his elbows at the podium, talking as if he's sitting here talking to you and I right now over a cold beer. I mean, people are loving this guy. Can he, in your opinion, get the nomination from the Republican Party? Can he get the party's endorsement and support? And can he eventually, in your opinion, beat whether it's Hillary or whomever on the left?
I think there's so many unknowns between now and then. What I will say is that with Trump, if he gets the nomination, you're going to see a media attack on him like you've never seen before, because they're going to try and take all these memes and kind of lame attacks that they've used before and trot them out. You're going to hear a war on women. You're going to hear Republicans hate Hispanics. And all that's gonna come out again in a much stronger level. Can he get the nomination? Sure. I think that's definitely possible. In the playing field that we're in now, things are definitely different. They're with conservative talk radio, with Twitter, with all these different ways to go around the media. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. One of the things, I would say from his perspective, one of the advantages that he has, it's a disadvantage if you're another Republican candidate, is that he is sucking a lot of the oxygen out of the room. So for other Republican candidates, Scott Walker, Marco Rubio, Jeb Bush, Rand Paul, any of those people, they're just simply not getting airtime. That's actually one of the ongoing studies that we're working on, is who's getting the attention and who isn't. And overwhelmingly, it's Trump on the Republican side. He's just dominating the media attention, and the other candidates, their ability to get their message out has really suffered. So we're going to have to see if that continues, because part of that is that as they cover Trump, it's not as though they're doing it because they like Trump. They don't, but they're trying to take his outspoken manner, the way that he has been connecting with the American people. They're trying to take that and turn it into what we've seen before, what I mentioned, the play up the war on women and the war on Hispanics and all that kind of typical liberal media attack. So they're covering it, but they're trying to turn it into very negative coverage and very negative perception for people.
But I would suggest to you, and if you don't agree with me, be sure and tell me you don't, but I would suggest to you, Scott, that by attacking Donald Trump, or by Donald Trump attacking one of his other constituents, i.e. Carly Fiorina, or whether it's Ben Carson or whatever, and then their rebuttals have put them in the limelight. And those three, Carson, Fiorina, and Trump, have gained more of the airtime because of what's happened internally between those three. And the other ones, whether it's Marco Rubio or whether it's Rand Paul, they're all becoming also Rands, and people are forgetting about them because look what happened between Trump and Fiorina. He said, look at that face. And she came back with an ad showing multiple faces of women in politics, and the ad was a gangbuster for her and really propelled her higher in the polls.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because you do have to look at the people who have fought with Trump and are either doing okay or doing better in the polls, and that's true. You have Carson, you have Carly Fiorina, as opposed to, say, Rick Perry or Scott Walker or some of these other people. There definitely does seem to be an outsider movement that is very popular, and those people, Carson and Carly, have been able to tap into in a way that Walker and other candidates, Rubio, etc., haven't, and that's definitely suffered in their media coverage in terms of the fact that they're just really not getting much. They're not getting much attention. They're not getting much interviews. We've been going through and counting the interviews, and it's just a vast difference between people like Trump and Carson and Carly and some of the other more establishment candidates, if you want to call them that.
I would venture, and I want your opinion on this, but if they would tomorrow night not have 11 candidates up at the podiums for that CNN debate, I will tell you the 5 that I think should be there that the public is tuning in for. And the 5 are Cruz, Bush, Fiorina, Carson, and Trump. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the 5 that really the American public cares about hearing, and the rest might as well sit down and read a comic book.
I think those are ones that are definitely connecting right now. I would say I think you're pretty spot on that. From a media perspective, what we try and argue with the media is that it's their responsibility to cover these people, to give them attention, and regardless of whether or not ABC or CBS or NBC find them dynamic. One of the things that the MRC did in the last couple of election cycles is we covered how ABC would do these town hall type meetings, particularly in 2008, and they would turn the entire Good Morning America show over into a town hall. Well, who were the people who got these town halls? Hillary Clinton got one, John Edwards got one, Barack Obama got one. The Republicans didn't get them. So they certainly are kind of shifting towards maybe the more exciting or dynamic or outsider candidates, if you want to call them that. But we think that they have a responsibility to cover these candidates, serious candidates who are, not to say that any of these other candidates we mentioned aren't serious, but serious candidates who seem to have a legitimate shot as well as Carly, and give them airtime, and they've really just not been doing that. They've been either bringing up Trump so they could attack him, or they've been just kind of ignoring some of the other Republican candidates.
Let me ask you one final thought here, and this is a speculative type question on your answering this, but with the information that's out on Hillary Clinton right now regarding the emails and the suppressing of the truth and lying about how many email factors were involved, how many different machines, if you will, were used, the server, etc., is the information that's being gathered and only put out by certain sources enough to bring down her campaign and have her back away from the Democratic nod for nomination?
It's hard to say, but I would think, unless we have something tremendously serious that is revealed in these email releases or within the investigation, it's hard to see how she's going to be forced out, because we have to remember the Clintons have a history of being ferocious fighters, number one. Number two, they are used to having the media on their side, so they're not going to abandon ship very easily. And so I would say that it's going to have to be pretty significant, something, whatever comes out. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be, because we seem to be learning new things about these emails every day. We heard just recently the Washington Post reported that, well, maybe the server wasn't completely wiped after all. Maybe it could be recovered. So there's so many unknowns that we're waiting to see how they're going to play out. But it seems to me that there would be it would take a lot for her to pull back, because what does she have to lose at this point? This is her last chance at running for president. It's her last chance at the nomination, and obviously this is something that Hillary has wanted for a long time, and she has Bill on board, so we're going to have to wait and see. But I think it would have to be pretty serious. One last thing I will say, though, is that from a media standpoint, this is going to keep dribbling out, because, as you know, the emails and newer emails that are being gone through are going to be kind of dribbling out over the next few months, which is what Hillary didn't want. But it's going to keep going and keep going. So media, they don't seem to want to cover this, but it's clearly having an effect on her candidacy. It's having an effect on how she talks about it, and so it is having an impact on her.
You know, I've really enjoyed our conversation, and again, Scott, thank you so much for filling in at the last minute. Senior news analyst at the Media Research Center, Scott Whitlock, thank you. Come back soon. Enjoyed the conversation. Have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
You betcha. Thank you. Good guy right there, Scott Whitlock with the Media Research Center, and talking about Hillary and the rest of the herd that's running for the nomination of president. We better get the weather in here. Old Wheels is sitting over there, and he's going, Zeb, hurry up. Well, okay, Scarrows Meats bringing you the weather this hour at 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, boy, changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Absolutely. They guarantee everything they sell, and they've got delicious New York strips and ribeye steaks and, of course, sirloin tips and boneless pork chops and brats. Oh, the brats they make are absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. You check it out today. Call them 324-7657, Scarrows Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a little bit on the rainy side for today. About 1/10 of an inch is what we're expecting, along with some afternoon thunderstorms as well. High of 67 for today. Tonight, low of 50. For tomorrow, rain showers will continue in the forecast with a high of 60. Overnight, low of 43. And what do you know? More rain for Thursday. Slight chance of a thunderstorm as well. High of 58 with an overnight low of 38. And then as we move on into the weekend, it's going to be clearing up. Looks like sunny skies and 65, possibly 70 for Saturday. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Thank you, Gina. Scarrows Meats bringing you the weather this hour. They're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Oh, yes, it's true. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. Scarrows Meats. Oh, boy. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Welcome.
Yes, Zeb, every day, for the last 2 months, it seems, or however long it's been, the West has been ablaze. And, the Idaho Cattlemen's Association has a little poem they call Graze, Not Blaze. So yesterday I called Wyatt Prescott, and I said, because I had just got through listening to the news at the top of the hour in California. They're just talking about how terrible these fires are, like nothing they've ever seen ever in recent history, and how big they are, and same with Washington and Oregon and parts of Idaho. And I called Wyatt and I said, is there anybody that's waking up to the fact that we have got to have management? We got to graze, we got to take the old burnt timber out, whatever it is we do with it. Hopefully we get it out soon enough we can turn it into lumber, or we can use it as firewood or something. And he told me, he says, every time somebody tries to do something with some sort of practical sense, that the environmentalists assume no matter what it is, they just couldn't care less. These sorry SOBs couldn't care less about what is happening to the environment. I mean, think about it. When we burn the forest down, we lose the timber and what could be lumber, and we burn their habitat, and it's just amazing. And the West is just disappearing.
We are burning up the.
Nobody cares.
We are burning up the assets of great, valuable resources that God gave us to use, not abuse. It's complete idiocy the way this is being done. I wished I had more time, and I want to talk to you about this a little bit more. Call me tomorrow morning in the first hour, and we'll discuss it further. Okay?
Yeah, we'll go from there.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. My goodness sakes, let's talk about tires right now. They've got tires on sale. Ho, ho, ho. Like the Strategy tire for your cars, all-season design, long tread life. And they've got on sale right now the Wild Country XTX Sport tire. For the pickups and the SUVs, I'll tell you what, this is a tire that'll get you where you're going. Along with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Hey, don't forget, this time of the year, have your battery checked. In the cooler mornings, you turn the key. You want to go somewhere. Check it out today at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely the best, and our major sponsor. Tomorrow on the program, first hour, 8:06 to 9 o'clock, open forum where you can call and voice your thoughts on various stories. Dave Beagle is going to be here from Indiana at 9:06, and then we're going to have a guest on patriotism in the United States at 9:30, and then followed by the Fish and Game Report for the month of September right here on Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were are the way things ought to be. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell. Have a very nice day. God bless you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.